In the 13th century, Amicia Darun, a young girl of noble descent, goes on a hunt with her father and the family dog. While her father gives Amicia some hunting lessons, the dog runs into the woods alone. Amicia goes after the dog and finds him whimpering and gravely injured in front of a dark pit. Horrified, she kneels in front of him and wonders what happened as her father arrives. Suddenly, an unseen entity violently drags the dog into the pit to his death. As the father holds Amicia back from trying to save him, the force doesn't seem to reappear, and the duo decide to hurry back home. This is the story of Plague Tale: Innocence. As always, beware of spoilers and enjoy the story. They arrive back at the estate, and the father tries to console a heartbroken Amicia. Amicia then sets off to greet her mother Beatrice, and finds her busy in the study. She tries to tell her mother about the incident in the forest, but Beatrice is distracted by a commotion outside. She orders Amicia to go to her brother and close the shutters and lock the door behind her. Amicia goes to find her younger brother Hugo, who has been ill and kept in isolation since birth. As a result, the siblings are essentially strangers to each other. As Amicia shyly introduces herself to Hugo, she hears loud noises coming from the outside. Peering through the shutters, Amicia witnesses soldiers capturing her father and several servants. She also witnesses the leader of the soldiers, Lord Nicholas, question him for Hugo's whereabouts. He murders her father and orders the soldiers to storm the estate. Horrified by what she's seen, Amicia tries to escape the estate with her little brother. They are almost caught by a soldier, but he is knocked out from behind by Beatrice. Amicia and Hugo join their mother and attempt to sneak out of the estate while witnessing the Inquisition slaughter the servants. The siblings and their mother reach the gate leading outside of the estate, but Amicia notices Nicholas charging toward them on horseback. With no time to lose, Beatrice tells Amicia to take care of Hugo and to find a man named Laurentius, a doctor who helped Beatrice treat Hugo's illness. Despite Amicia's pleas for her mother to join her, Beatrice slams the door to the estate. The siblings flee into the forest outside of the estate and cross the river to arrive near a village. They enter the village in hopes of finding help, only to find it unusually empty. The duo make their way to the village square, where they witness two villagers being burned at the stake. The villagers notice the siblings and accuse them of spreading a plague that has killed many of the villagers. The siblings narrowly escape the angry villagers when a kind old woman lets them into her residence. Amicia and Hugo change into new clothes, and the old woman tells them that the monks could point her towards Laurentius. An impatient Hugo demands to see his mother, forcing Amicia to shout at Hugo, telling her brother that their parents are dead. An angered Hugo runs outside, and Amicia gives chase, managing to find him just before the townsfolk reach him, and the duo run into the village monastery. They find themselves in a courtyard and come across Father Thomas, who sternly warns them to leave. But as the children beg for help, he recognizes the Darun crest pendant around Hugo's neck, as well as the name of Laurentius. He devises a way to sneak the children out of the church to avoid the villagers through an underground tunnel. He also makes sure to bring a torch, telling them to never leave the light. Thomas explains in detail how the Black Plague known as the Bite had started, originating from plague rats in the night. He hands Amicia the torch and heads inside to search for his partner, but a sudden draft blows out all the candles in the tunnel. A massive swarm of ravenous plague rats appears as Thomas is caught in the dark passageway. He is instantly devoured and killed by the rats, as the siblings barely manage to make it out into the sunlight. Amicia and Hugo journey through the French countryside and eventually reach Laurentius's farm and find him severely ill with the plague. Laurentius explains that there is an ancient evil in the Darun lineage and is currently in Hugo's blood. He charges Amicia with Hugo's safety and warns them that although the rats are dangerous, the main threat is the Inquisition, who will tirelessly hunt for Hugo. Lucas, who is Laurentius's apprentice, takes the children to the barn as the rats begin to invade the farmhouse. The rats knock over alcohol onto an open flame, causing an explosion and a massive fire, killing Laurentius and destroying his home in an instant. A horse careens past trailing a burning carriage and setting the windmill on fire. allowing the children to escape to a small boat on the river. On the boat, Lucas explains that Hugo carries an ancient curse called the Prima Macula. Beatrice and Laurentius had been trying to find an elixir that would mitigate Hugo's symptoms. While the Inquisition seeks Hugo for the curse's power, Lucas implores Amicia to finish her mother's work and cure Hugo before the Inquisition can capture him. The group decide to head to the Chateau d'Ombrage, an old castle that once belonged to the de Rune family. As they cross a battlefield occupied by the English, they are confronted by two soldiers who capture Hugo and knock Amicia unconscious with a rock. As daylight breaks, Amicia wakes up and finds herself locked in a cage as the commander of the English army greets her with some food. He says that he's captured the children to ransom them and leaves to carry on with his patrol. To Amicia's surprise, an unknown thief sneaks up to the cage and releases her. Amicia escapes, and with the help of the thief, manages to free Hugo as well. Just as the three reach a gate, Lord Nicholas arrives, intending to ransom the children. The thief's brother intervenes by throwing an explosive barrel, scattering the enemy momentarily. Amicia and the others flee to a hatch leading out of the camp used for the disposing of bodies. Archers attempt to shoot her, but she is shielded by the corpses of the Frenchmen. A second explosion rips through the camp, causing complete chaos and allowing the children to escape. The girl introduces herself as Melly and tells them that their friend Lucas is alive and waiting for them near the castle. As they continue down the forest trail, Hugo suffers from a headache, stating that it feels like something is growing inside him. The thief guides them to a lair hidden underneath one of the ruined buildings, informing them that Lucas had gotten them to rescue Amicia and Hugo with the promise of payment. The siblings accept the situation and decide to rest as they wait for Lucas. They are awoken by the sound of soldiers searching the village above and are forced to sneak away through underground tunnels. The siblings reunite with Lucas once again as they finally reach the castle. Building a fire in the living quarters, the children have a well-earned rest, finally able to enjoy some peace in their new home. The next morning, Hugo wakes his sister up, and Amicia notices that his condition has worsened to the point where a web of blackened veins is appearing on his neck. Lucas tells Amicia that he needs a forbidden book to complete the elixir that may help Hugo. Amicia decides to infiltrate the university to retrieve the book, while the rest of the group stay behind. Having managed to sneak into the university, she learns that the Inquisition themselves are looking for the same book. In a chamber deep within the building, Amicia finally catches sight of the Inquisition's true leader, Vitalis Benevent. Vitalis is sick with the Black Plague and is being kept alive with blood transfusions. A young blacksmith named Roderick is brought in to open a secret door containing the forbidden book. When the door is opened, Amicia is the first to recover the book, and Roderick decides to help her escape. Right before they escape, Vitalis and his men arrive, revealing that his order has been watching the de Rune family for much of Amicia's life. The children flee through the wall through a special hatch and successfully escape the building with the book. Daylight breaks over the castle as Lucas and Hugo spot Amicia returning to the castle. Amicia and Hugo embrace with joy as Roderick tosses Lucas the book. Sometime later, the thief's siblings return, informing the group that Amicia's mother has been alive all this time. The group agrees to keep this news from Hugo, not knowing that he has been listening from atop the stairs. After a few days, Lucas calls over to Amicia in a state of panic as the group find Hugo in the grip of a high fever, the blackening veins now having spread much further. With little time to spare, Amicia and Lucas rush to complete the elixir using the knowledge from the book and administer it to Hugo to alleviate his symptoms. The next morning, the children are in good spirits, but Amicia notices that her brother Hugo is missing. Angry at his sister for telling him that his mother is dead, Hugo runs away from the group to find his way into the Inquisition headquarters, hoping to find his mother. When he is caught, Hugo is subjected to tests and his blood taken to transfer his power to Vitalis. Using his small size, he escapes and eventually finds his mother locked up in prison.
Mommy? Hugo? But...
Beatrice reveals that the curse gives him the power to control the rats. Together, they attempt to escape, but are caught by Vitalis, who sends his men to kill Beatrice, forcing Hugo to fully awaken his powers and gain full control of the rats. Back at the castle, the children are still searching for Hugo's whereabouts for a whole month. Suddenly, a swarm unlike any seen before quickly begins to overwhelm the castle. Once they retreat to the main hall, the door is smashed, and to everyone's surprise, Lord Nicholas arrives leading Hugo by the hand. Hugo has been turned into a brainwashed servant of the Inquisition and has been controlling the rats to attack the castle. Nicholas goads Hugo to kill his sister, threatening to kill their mother Beatrice if he fails. Furious at Amicia's lies about their mother, Hugo sends rats to swallow Amicia, but she rushes him and wraps him in a sisterly embrace as the rats engulf them both. This act of love breaks through, allowing Hugo to see past his hatred for his sister. He sends the rats towards Nicholas instead, dragging the Inquisitor down into a hole in the ground and finishing him off. Backed by Hugo's immense power, the children come together in a plan to attack the Inquisition headquarters, rescue Beatrice, and end the threat once and for all. As they fight their way to the headquarters, Roderick uses his body to protect Hugo and Amicia, and eventually collapses from his injuries and dies. The children make their way to the cathedral using Hugo's rats, and find Vitalis awaiting their arrival with Beatrice, who is locked in a suspended cage. Amicia and Hugo confront Vitalis, as he reveals his own powers as a result of taking Hugo's blood.
The angel of the new world. Get back!
Summoning a horde of pale, hairless rats, Vitalis begins using the rats as armor, but Hugo manages to overpower him. As his horde is defeated and Vitalis finally collapses, 3 days later, both the rats and the plague have disappeared, and life begins to return to normal. Amicia, Hugo, Lucas, and an ailing Beatrice leave together in search of a new home. As the cart slowly makes its way into the distance, the two siblings can be heard laughing, full of hope for their future together. If you enjoyed this video, check out these other stories on the channel, and be sure to like and subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in another cool tale.